Jerusalem has been called many names: the City of Peace, the Holy City, Al-Quds, Zion. But beneath those names lies a story of longing, conquest, and blood. For three great faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Jerusalem was not just a city, it was destiny. And it is here, on this hill of stone and dust, that centuries of dreams would collide in war. Long before crusaders marched under the sign of the cross, before caliphs sent warriors in the name of jihad, and before emperors gazed eastward, Jerusalem was already a dream written in ancient scripture. For the Jews, it was the city of David. According to their sacred texts, it was David who captured a small hilltop fortress known as Jebus, and there he established the heart of his kingdom. His son Solomon built the great temple, a house not just of stone, but of covenant. Within its inner sanctum lay the Ark of the Covenant, believed to carry the very presence of God. Pilgrims came from across the land, their songs rising with the smoke of sacrifice. For them, Jerusalem was not merely a city, it was the bridge between heaven and earth. But glory faded into ruin. Babylon came, the temple was burned, the people carried into exile. And yet, by the rivers of Babylon, they wept and whispered, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand wither." Jerusalem became not just a memory, but a prayer. Generation after generation repeated the same longing, a yearning so strong it kept a people alive even when scattered across the earth. Centuries later, the city's stones echoed with new footsteps. For Christians, Jerusalem was where the Messiah walked. It was here that Jesus of Nazareth entered the city on a donkey, greeted by palms and hosannas. It was here that he overturned the tables in the temple, challenging both empire and priesthood. On a hill just outside its walls, he was crucified, and in a tomb hewn from rock, they laid him to rest until the third day, when his followers claimed he rose again. For Christians, Jerusalem became more than a city of the past. It was the stage of salvation itself. The empty tomb was proof that death had been conquered and that eternity itself had broken into history. Pilgrims began to come, first in small numbers, later in streams. They wept at Golgotha. They knelt at the tomb. To touch the stones of Jerusalem was to touch the story of Christ itself. And as the Christian world expanded under Rome, Jerusalem remained its spiritual heart, a crown jewel of faith, even if ruled by emperors who worshipped other gods. But destiny had another turn. In the 7th century, a new faith arose in the deserts of Arabia. Islam spread swiftly, its verses declaring the oneness of God and the finality of his message. For Muslims, Jerusalem became the place of a miracle, the Isra and Miraj. Tradition holds that the Prophet Muhammad, in a single night, was carried from Mecca to the farthest mosque, Al-Aqsa, in Jerusalem. From there, he ascended into the heavens, meeting the prophets before him and standing in the very presence of God. To Muslims, this made Jerusalem a sacred trust. It was not just a city of past covenants or messianic sacrifice. It was a living part of their own revelation. When Caliph Umar entered the city in 638, he refused to desecrate its shrines. Instead, he prayed humbly on the steps, and later, the dome of the rock rose above the Temple Mount, its golden crown glinting beneath the sun. Beside it, the Al-Aqsa Mosque took its place as a sanctuary of prayer. Jerusalem had become holy to all three faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, each with claims, each with stories, each with dreams tied to its soil. But holiness was no shield Jerusalem's history became a cycle of conquest and loss, of fire and blood. The Babylonians had destroyed it. The Persians restored it. The Romans crushed it again, leaving its temple in ruins. And still, people returned. Still, they prayed. For Jews, the Western Wall, a remnant of their destroyed temple, became the place where centuries of longing condensed into tears. For Christians, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built by Constantine's mother Helena, became the beating heart of pilgrimage. And for Muslims, Al-Quds, the Holy, became the third holiest city after Mecca and Medina. Here, in less than a square mile, the sacred histories of billions overlapped. But overlap soon turned to rivalry. By the 11th century, Jerusalem had become the crown jewel that no empire could ignore. The Fatimids, a Shia dynasty from Egypt, claimed it as their own. Then came the Seljuk Turks, Sunni warriors whose swords carved new borders across the Middle East. They seized Jerusalem, only for the Fatimids to return and reclaim it once more. For ordinary pilgrims, the city's gates often swung shut. Stories spread through Europe of Christians being harassed or turned away from the holy places. And in the West, the memory of Jerusalem burned bright. For kings and peasants alike, it was the navel of the world, the point where heaven touched earth. To lose access to it was unthinkable, and so Jerusalem became the spark. In the West, Europe was divided, its knights restless, and a pope eager to unite Christendom now looked eastward. In the East, the Muslim world was fractured, Sunni against Shia, dynasty against dynasty. Caught between these tides were the Jews. In Jerusalem, they were a small scattered community, clinging to prayers at the remnants of their lost temple. In Europe, they suffered as outsiders, mistrusted, taxed, and often persecuted. And yet, their yearning for Jerusalem remained unbroken, whispered in every prayer. Next year, in Jerusalem. Both the Christians and Muslims believed themselves to be the true defenders of God's will. Both saw Jerusalem not merely as a city, but as a crown, a symbol, a destiny. In that collision of faith and power, the stage was set for a clash unlike anything the world had ever witnessed. Jerusalem, city of promise, city of blood. The Jews wept for it. The Christians longed for it. The Muslims cherished it. Three faiths, one city, and a destiny that would erupt in fire. This was the seedbed of the Crusades. This was the stage upon which jihad and crusade would meet. In our next episode, we'll step into the storm itself, where faith turned into armies, and armies into rivers of blood. If you felt the weight of this story, join us as we continue the journey. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in our new series, the Jihad Vs Crusaders. And you can always check out our other interesting stories, all well researched and made with you in mind.